Our first recipient is Chuck Kummeth. Chuck grew up in the small town of Glen Ullin, North Dakota. He's proud of that upbringing and the education he received at the University of North Dakota. They launched him into a career that includes more than a decade-long stint as the CEO of an S&P 500 company.
From a teen pumping gas in Glen Ullin, North Dakota, to leading a global biotech powerhouse, Chuck Kummeth has traveled an extraordinary path.
Well, Chuck has been a member of our college executive board for many years. So we meet twice a year, and Chuck is a very active participant on the board. His experience as an engineer, as a leader in companies like 3M and Bio-Techne brings a great perspective to the board, especially with all the growth that his company Bio-Techne has experienced over the last few years. His insight into how to accommodate a growing organization and all of its needs from facilities to people has been very insightful, very helpful for the college.
After earning his degree in electrical engineering from UND, Chuck spent over 2 decades at 3M, advancing from a lab tech.
Chuck is a great example to our current students and prospective students. Chuck grew up in a small town in North Dakota, came to UND, got an engineering degree, and has just gone on to do amazing things. Things that I'm sure he couldn't have even predicted himself when he was a student here. Chuck, in partnership with his company, helped establish an endowed faculty position in our School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. And these positions are very important because they help us attract and retain some of the best faculty that we can. And so Chuck, over the course of his career, he has engaged with universities through his role in industry, and he sees the value of bringing really bright new faculty to a campus. And that's what his gift will help do.
Chuck, you are so proud of your North Dakota upbringing, and we are so proud of you. Please come forward to accept your Sioux Award for Distinguished Achievement and Leadership.
Joke to open up when I saw these young people coming up reading speeches off their phones and stuff, and then Emily ruined it. Bringing up papers. Clearly she's beyond her years of maturity, so, but here I am. Well, wow, what an honor to receive this amazing recognition. I never, ever expected to achieve this prestigious award from UND, but I'm very happy to be here to accept it. I can tell you for certain that without the strong support of my family, I would never be here tonight. My family, and my wife Angie especially, has been my center for 17 years now. I grew up all around North Dakota, as my father was a teacher and later an administrator. We moved every 3 to 5 years. He would say, as the highest paid public servant in a small town, superintendent of schools, if I haven't upset a majority of the school board and the population for doing my job, I wasn't doing my job. He's here, by the way, and 87 and still doing great. Thank you, Dad. So I learned a lot about people living in 5 small towns until I left high school for UND at age 18. I learned how to watch, listen, meet people, make friends, fit in, earn a spot on a team. All not easy in rural, small towns in North Dakota, I might add. It may have had a big impact on my future leadership qualities. I was a BC student. I liked school, and I studied hard, along with 3 jobs, and thank God I did. If I was ever asked what my biggest accomplishment was, being a student in the electrical engineering school, I would say, I completed my studies with nearly a 3.0 GPA, but I never dropped a class. I never got a D. If I had a D going, I made it a C. If I had a C going, I could maybe get a B. I didn't get many A's. I borrowed a lot to go to school. I couldn't imagine starting a class torture all over again from the very beginning, not to mention paying for it again. I used to like to study the stacks of the medical library. I had my place up in the middle of the books at a desk situated at the end of a long bookshelf row. Many of you probably know this spot. Every row had one, and they were sought after. I can still remember today fondly the smell of the aged paper in those stacks and the warmth. Always warm in there, and we were often cold from walking class to class in the winter. Last anecdote for the young people in the audience. One reason I think I struggled more than some in school, knowing full that I was actually smart, was the realization that I was an active learner and not really great at book learning. Taking 5 to 6 classes at a time was hard for me. When I later started working in the data storage lab at 3M Company, I worked on designing systems on a team, one large project for a year at a time. We were partners with Apple Computer back then, and we helped them launch the first Macintosh computer. I traveled to Cupertino often in the mid-'80s and saw Steve Jobs' innovative culture of talent and culture every day and very early. What I came to realize was that I could get really good at something that I worked on 10 plus hours a day with no distractions. Jobs are easier than taking classes and a hell of a lot more fun. I spent 24 years at 3M, rising through the ranks, starting as a co-op student in the medical division. After serving in 4 different divisions, running a subsidiary in Europe, and managing the industrial businesses of 3M for Europe, to my last job at 3M, back in the medical division, but this time as its vice president, managing 6,000 employees and a $2.5 billion P&L. My very first boss was still in the division lab, and he had quite a laugh. 15 years ago, I left 3M to join a much smaller company back then, Thermo Fisher Scientific. I spent 4 years there learning and managing businesses in the life sciences industry. Everyone here in the audience would know one product of hundreds I managed, Nalgene water bottles. The business started as a lab bottle business until some scientists started taking them on hikes. It got noticed. I need to thank Angie because those years at Thermo Fisher were all spent commuting every week. Angie managed our home and took charge of our 4 kids. For those of you who have commuted long distances for work, you understand that 4 years is a long time to do so. Angie was always keeping all of us together, even when we weren't together. Thank you, Angie. Unknowingly, at the time, my 4 years at Thermo Fisher prepared me to become a life sciences company CEO, and I did so in 2013, assuming the helm of a struggling small company called Techne, renamed Bio-Techne early because after 25 years, someone forgot to register the name, and we received a cease and desist letter. Small aside from that, I was in the spin-off to Amation and saw the marketing disaster there, and we hired all the marketing firms to figure out a name. And I told them, please don't come up with a 10-syllable name we're going to spend the next 5 years trying to pronounce. And somebody bright came up with Bio-Techne, and I thought there's no way that's not registered, and it wasn't, and it stuck. They had $300 million in revenue, but it was shrinking for a variety of reasons. I worked under many great leaders and mentors, Jim McNerney of GE and 3M, Harold Wiens, my boss for many years at 3M. Another boss, maybe the best peer engineer I've ever met, Leroy Kuda, also here in the audience tonight. Mark Casper, CEO of Thermo Fisher, and many more. These people and more shaped me into the leader I was to become. I rebuilt the team, which took the company from $300 million to over $1.2 billion in 11 years, and a market cap from $2 billion to over $20 billion in that time frame. I retired this year, leaving the company in great hands with the team I hired. My adolescent years taught me a lot about people, and I'm known as a mentor and a network attracting talent to partner with me. To this day, I've never used a recruiting service to hire a direct report for me. I need to close, but I want to leave you with a final thought or two. First, I want to thank Dean Tandy and Robin Turner of the Foundation for sponsoring me with this award. In the end, all that matters are friends, family, being loved and remembered well. Start doing what matters now, because if there is one thing about aging in the future, you don't know what is coming. You don't want to wait too long to pursue your dreams or give back. You want to look back and say, yeah, I did all right, I have no regrets, made a difference, and I'm ready for the future and the unknown. Thank you.